Hello, friends and fellow collectors. What is going on? We are back with some San Diego Comic Con action. We're talking about all of the figures that were exclusively released and shown at SDCC. I've got my friend and fellow figurehead here with me, Anthony Ricciardi. What is going on?
Fellow figurehead, I like that. No, it's been a fun week. We're doing some shows for people. You guys will be seeing them sporadically over the next few weeks. Obviously, San Diego Comic Con is one that we wanted to do a little sooner. Unfortunately, we just couldn't. But we're now going to try to focus on some of the highlight ones. Not every one, but just the some of the ones that are our favorites that we saw. So this should be a fun packed episode.
Let's get right into it. Let's
Yep.
talk about CM Punk in his plain white t shirt.
Yes.
It's re-debut Sam Punk. Which debut do you prefer? Who cares? In figure form, this one's gorgeous. I think both debut figures, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was Jazzwarees, not to mention them, competitor, but
Mm-hmm.
Mattel Creations exclusive here. I think they're both great. Ice Cream Bar one I loved. I love this one too. How about you, Ant?
Yeah, absolutely. I have ice cream bar. This one I have on order. Mattel Creations did their pre-order for this one. I do have it on order. I forget when it's supposed to come out, but it's an awesome likeness. I think they rushed this thing obviously to get this thing together. To it's an iconic moment in Punk's career. He's had a lot of them. Shocked the world. As Punk told us this week or within the past 2 weeks when he did an interview, you know, it came down to the wire before he would sign that paper to go out. Like literally,
Right.
it happened. So, to have this captured and it's kind of a throwaway shirt in that, AJ went,
Yep.
here, wear this because he was wearing some other type of shirt and she gave him the plain white tee. And now it's immortalized in figure form.
Yes. It is great, and honestly, one of the most incredible face scans. But I
Mhm.
can't look at this figure without mentioning one thing. And as a fellow Chicagan, I actually think CM Punk would find this funny because I'm not being overly critical.
Okay.
But is this the first figure in figure history wearing a Fitbit on their right arm?
Is it a Fitbit or a watch? I'm
Is
not
it a
sure.
Fitbit? I'm pretty confident on the right arm that'd be a Fitbit, not a watch.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
He's a
if he's
he's a
right-handed,
right-handed guy. He'd
yeah,
be
so
wearing
so
it on his left.
yeah,
I
left,
think it's a
yes.
Fitbit.
Okay.
And because I also think he either was wearing like a Fitbit or is it what's the other one that guys wear for their heart rate and stuff? Whoop, the
I'm
Whoop.
not sure.
That's another one I think that athletes wear. It's
Okay.
either that or the other. It may be a watch in the figure form, but I do think it's the first in history that immortalizes
The Fitbit?
a fitness digital device.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you don't have the beaded bracelet. You've got the heart rate monitor,
Uh,
basically, and
I I I
I
I am
appreciate it.
I am sure the beaded bracelet will come in an eventual two-pack, probably with Drew.
Almost
But
assuredly.
Punk's had a lot of figures, and it's just amazing. Like he's had so many defining moments, and that's not a pun intended because they have the line, but like legitimately, when you look at it, when his career said and done, um, I it'd be very hard to argue anybody else having more moments where you go, that's a defining moment. But he keeps topping them.
He's so figurable
Yeah,
too. I got to give him credit. I'm a big CM Punk fan, always
yeah,
have been. Doesn't matter to me. I'm entertained by it all. I
yeah.
loved his AEW run. I love what has happened since he returned. I loved both his UFC fights. He's one of the
Mm,
few people out there rooting for him in the MMA community.
yes.
Shout out Duke Rufus. Let's go. Rufus Sport, one of the best teams in the Midwest. Shout out Milwaukee. Sorry, while we're up. Either way, I mean, he had to make that drive every week for
Yeah.
camp. That's
Yep.
brutal. That's no
Hmm.
fun. Let's talk about some fun though.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe my favorite tag team of all time, probably my favorite tag team of all time,
Yep.
the Outsiders,
Yep.
immortalized.
Yep.
Find this really interesting though. We've got
Okay.
the original gear when
Hmm.
it comes to Kevin Nash.
Yes.
Scott Hall, I almost wish was in the white and black gear. I understand we have the white and black shirts, which I enjoy.
Hmm.
And I understand that there were times where he wore the red and black gear while Kevin wore the red
Yeah.
full gear there.
Mhm.
But my fondest memories involved Scott Hall in the white and black gear.
I would say, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Clark, because you might remember this better than I do. I believe this is '96 Bash at the Beach gear. I believe it is that
If
gear.
it is officially the Bash at the Beach gear plus the 2 t-shirts, then that, yeah, I take back exactly what I just said.
Because I know for certain that was the Nash gear, and I'm pretty sure Scott Hall had the red and black also on
And
in
then,
that match.
well, interestingly enough, then the t-shirts would be dated, but at the same
Yes.
time, because those would be after the fact. But
Yes,
as a guy who's an owner of both shirts, no, that is absolutely fair. The inclusion of the titles is interesting then to me.
the tag titles, yes. I think this, these are ultimate ones. They're ringside exclusives. It's interesting that I don't think they've ever released a true 3-pack with Hogan.
I don't think they ever will.
They did with the Funkos. They released a Funko set with the 3 of them.
Right.
And I believe they've released the Hogan separately. But they've never done a 3-pack. Well, oddly enough, and we've covered this on Sold, they did release their opponents that night in a 3-pack: Sting, Luger, and Macho. But they never released the corresponding, and I think that was because Hogan was on the outs at the time with the company. Obviously, I don't believe he is now. But Hall and Nash, when you talk about disruptors to the industry, both on and off camera, just like CM Punk, they've impacted the business. Good, bad, and different doesn't matter. They are one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
I love both figures, and I do think it's one of those ones that's almost a must buy. But at the same time, the 2 head scans and the hair styles on the ones that are on the actual figures are so much better than the other ones included.
Yeah.
That is one thing that stood out to me. But I also love both. You get the two sweet hands. You get extra hands for Scott Hall, which I love too.
It's these hands. Yeah, it's that one, which I think is tremendous.
So you can surfboard him.
Yeah. So but one of the greatest tag teams of all time, without a question.
No doubt, one of my favorites ever. And speaking of great tag teams, let's talk about the Steiners. I understand that they can't put that M,
the
Michigan letter,
on
the jackets, but this is as close as you could get.
Yes.
I have zero complaints other than that, and I understand that complaint is moot.
Yeah.
This is as good as you could ask, and it's perfect. They got the maze, the color yellow is so correct on the sleeves.
Yeah.
It tickles me.
It really is a really cool set. When you think of the Steiners, like, this is old school original Steiners.
Oh yeah.
WCW, brief run in WWF, a run in ECW for very short. I think they had a couple of matches in ECW as well. But I mean, they were synonymous with WCW. They are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Hall of Famers. Obviously, Rick's son, Braun is tearing it up in WWE right now. So I mean, this is one of the most legitimate, dangerous teams, both on and off screen. Because if you mess with one Steiner, you're messing with both, and that's not good.
To the victors, down hell to the old blue glory, hell to Michigan, the champions of the West. Absolutely. No, I love it. I wish you could have the big M up on that left spot, but I get it. I mean, with NIL, you never know. Maybe the next time they release a figure like this, we get the M. Yeah. If you know a seamstress, maybe you can sew it on your own figure.
Maybe.
Either way, this is as close as we're gonna get, and I love it. It's the most classic Steiners thing you can see, and it's awesome. Speaking of tag teams, though, I had an original version of this figure set that is just comedy these days, but the Headbangers are back in the building with my favorite iteration of the tag team titles.
Yes.
I love it. Mosh and Thrasher, come on, talk to me. Let's go. Why were
Yeah,
they wearing kilts? We'll never know. It's punk rock. It's the 90s.
as their shirts say on the back, real men wear kilts. But yeah, I had the same ones. It was a Bone Cruncher 2-pack back in the day. You know, they were defining 90s tag teams.
Yep.
They you know, they only held the tag titles, I believe, once. You know, they're not synonymous with that, but like anybody that grew up in the Attitude Era knows the Headbangers. I have one funny story. I know we're a little crunched for time, but
No, we're fine.
there was we were at Tony Luke's steak shop. I'll never forget it. I Somebody told me, "Oh, the Headbangers going to be there signing autographs." I go, "It's only Thrasher."
Okay.
No, it gets better. He signs the picture Thrasher. He also signs Mosh and hands it to me.
Oh, he signed on Mosh's behalf?
Yes,
Like as if Mosh was there too?
by proxy, yes.
He was like, listen, I know Mosh. And so,
But
like,
seriously, though, phenomenal head scans on those.
I
And
love it.
they're really cool looking figures.
And such a memorable tag team. Just like,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that story too, by the way,
Yep.
Anthony. That is iconic. Let's talk about another multi-person pack here that's kind
Yes.
of crazy.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the Roman Reigns, Alpha, and Sika pack.
Yes.
This moment was gnarly during the pandemic era of wrestling
Mm-hmm.
when they put the Uafalala
Well, yeah. Yeah.
on
Wolf Filet, I think it is. Isn't it?
Uafalea
Yeah.
on Roman Reigns, and you know, just an iconic moment and immortalized in figure form. This is a pretty cool one.
This is a really cool, like you said, it's a defining moment in Roman's tribal chief run, and it's bittersweet because this was kind of announced, and then obviously we lost Alpha and Sika practically back to back. So it's definitely an emotional one for somebody like Roman that, you know, it's all together, his father, his uncle.
Yes,
This is a really cool set. On top of, you know, the whole phenomenal bloodline story. So this is a really cool thing, and you're probably never going to see this again.
I
So
don't
like
think
this,
you'll.
so
I
this
mean,
is like one of those sets that like if you're on the fence, you may want to just get it because I don't
also
think
at the
we'll see
same
another.
time, like you may see Alpha and Sika figures in the future. You're
Yes,
likely not to see them in this iteration
in
with
that
the
gear,
history.
yeah.
It's very cool, and I agree with you 100%. This next one though, I've been looking forward to. So
Yes,
for time's sake, let's get to it because
yes.
I've got a story here. So we've got the Evolution turns on Randy Orton 3-pack. Batista's
Mhm,
got him up. It's thumbs up. It's thumbs down. He's spiked World Heavyweight Championship
mhm,
held up top. You get a big gold with this one. This is really cool. Now, merely a week later, they were in Anaheim and had the response to this segment. Randy Orton brought the belt out. He said, if you just give it to us, it won't happen to you again. And I'll never forget it because I was at that show with my father. And I got to shout out my dad on this one. He went to the bathroom and he came back from the bathroom and he walked down and he said, there's a heck of a lot of security up at the top of the concourse, Clark. I
mhm,
think something's about to happen.
mhm.
And I would be ready to go up to the top of the concourse.
Yeah.
So I walked, out of the aisle
Mhm,
quickly to the top of the concourse and watched the segment from the concourse. Randy Orton hits Triple H with the belt and runs up into the crowd holding the world heavyweight title.
mhm.
The first person he turned the corner and high-fived at the Honda Center was me because I was
That's
standing
awesome.
right there. And it was so cool. 1 week later, I remember being a huge Orton fan when they
Mhm.
turned on him for some
Yes.
reason, and it was awesome. Like, and he bolted down the aisle immediately. All the security was there and everything. They took him away. I went back to my seat, but I'll never forget it. Those 2 weeks in a row, amazing. I knew I was going to the Monday Night Raw following this one,
Yeah.
so I watched it, extra close
Yeah.
and was waiting on the Orton segment. The timing serendipitous of my dad being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
there's an interesting amount of police officers at the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
You might want to check that out." Just something I'll never forget from childhood. And so this is a must buy for me as far as SBCC
It, it, it's
figures
pr-
are
it,
concerned.
it's probably the most defining moment of the early career of Randy Orton, and a defining moment in all three men's careers, really. But this, I remember this was the moment. I always thought there was something to Randy even when he first debuted. I'm like, there's something there. There's something special. You just knew.
Remember
Especially
when he did the injury? By the way, one of the most underrated Randy Orton things ever was when he still had like not longer hair, but like longer hair than he's ever had since.
the little mop.
And he was doing the updates on his return and his rehab from injury.
It was the shoulder. If I'm not mistaken,
so funny.
It was the shoulder.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It was the like the Randy Orton report, ROR, whatever the hell it was. But yeah, this is one of those moments, and of course, this brought us the theme music that everyone loves except Randy, "Burning My Light."
Hey, nothing you can say.
But this is absolutely a great moment. And it's a great likeness for all of them.
It's iconic. I love it. I love the immortalizing of this, the moment, the figures, the gear is perfect. The look is perfect. I don't understand why the display, they didn't fold the belt like it was in real life, but that's my only complaint about the entire thing.
I would say Hunter's suit's not exactly the best either.
Ties a little long.
The sleeve's a little short.
That too.
I
think they're trying to show how yoked he was.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's really cool too,
I
because
love
as a WCW guy,
Yeah.
this Eddie Guerrero figure, this is so WCW Eddie.
Yes.
You get a cruiserweight title.
Yeah, this is I love this version of Eddie, because this is really this is pre-Latino heat. This is WCW. This is Eddie Guerrero against Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc Eddie. This is an iconic one. The only thing that I would include additional, because I believe this is an ultimate, and this would be like an inside one. Do you remember the promo Eddie cut with the cup of coffee?
Yes, and he would have been great.
And he said that Bischoff threw coffee on him, but obviously that's, but like it's a phenomenal likeness, and Eddie's had a lot of figures, and they've always nailed it. Mattel's always nailed it.
This is brilliant,
but this is on another level. This is probably the best Eddie I've ever seen.
I would agree, and it's the most iconic gear. The black and gold, and with the red trim is what I remember the most. Obviously, the green gear in when he won the WWE title later, but like as far as early Eddie, it's the black and gold and red that I remember the most.
The two that I remember are this gear and the red when he faced Brock. I believe it was the red gear he wore.
I think it was green against Kurt went in the ankle lock match.
Purple, maybe. I think it might have been purple. It might have been purple.
Was it green against Ray? I remember like a Kelly Green gear that was like
yeah. It might have been.
Was that against Ray in the Dom?
Maybe.
Match? Maybe. That might be what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of,
that's
to be honest. Now that I'm thinking of it, either way, I agree with you. This figure is absolutely outstanding. Let's get on to our final one of the afternoon, though. Here, rest in peace, Psycho Sid. What a legend! My first wrestling VHS that I binge watched over and over and over again. Him main eventing in San Antonio against Shawn Michaels. An absolute legend. This figure's off the charts.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous with the winged eagle. Thank you very much.
This is a phenomenal Sid. Sid is one of those performers that, he was able to do a lot with a little. Like, he's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but he knew his character. Whether it was Psycho Sid or Sid Vicious, he knew the monster character.
Big, strong, and mean.
Yeah. One small thing before we go, because obviously we said it was a great figure. I don't know if you remember this conversation with you, Clark. I said to you one time casually, I said, how come we never got a softball Sid? Because he's always famous for missing.
Oh, true.
That would be I would love if they did a San Diego Comic-Con softball Sid. I think it would be the greatest thing they could possibly ever do.
Hysterical if they pulled that off, or even if they included scissors, given everyone knows the story about him and Arn Anderson.
That's a little controversial.
I'm totally kidding. Just include those as a prop, though. Why not?
Yeah.
That does bring us to the end of the show, though. It's been an absolute blast. On behalf of me and Anthony and everybody at Wrestling Republic, thank you for tuning in. Check out more episodes of Sold Separately. Check out everything over on the Daily Broadcast, Sunday Night Spotlight. All of our shows take it to the table. Thank you. once again, have a good one. And we will talk to you guys again soon, very shortly, too. We've got a lot of solds coming up.